How are you, Devika?
Fantastic. I'll tell you why your profile gave me goosebumps. I have to
Oh,
tell you that. It
thank
did.
you.
Maybe in the course of our conversation, it will
Sure,
eventually come up. But
sure.
I'm a little overwhelmed as well. And I'll tell you, I'll reveal all of it in our interview, which is
Lovely.
so amazing, actually.
I went through the questions and I just kind of loved it. Whoever has written the questions, I just feel I've done a lot of podcasts and in the past I've done so many interviews, and I don't think no one has been able to tap into the human side of me along with keeping the spiritual sense. And I think all the questions were so interesting. Like usually I never go through questions. I never, even when I do my podcast, I don't have a script. I just work very naturally. But when I was going through questions, I was thinking of like, what am I going to say? What would I like to say? So
And
I
that's
just love the question. And
we
thank
have
you
an
so much for
incredible
having me.
team, and Alia is heading the content. So I think, yeah, they have
Appreciate
done a
that.
fabulous job. Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Hi, Tamanna. Welcome to Global Influencers Hub. Here we talk about the life journeys of social media influencers, and I cannot wait to deep dive into yours. What we mean by deep dive is actually going right back to your childhood.
Mm-hmm.
What was Tamanna like as a little child?
I was a mix of both. I was this grumpy introvert child, but also extremely studious, very talkative. So I think it was a mix of both. But I think I was a bookworm. I was always a writer. I started writing very early on in life, always very productive, trying to do too much. I was at that point a jack of all, master of none while growing up. So I think my mom really played a very important role in giving me a well rounded education, academic exposure, along with a lot of spiritual exposure very early on. So I was this plumpy, chubby, fat, dark because I was very athletic. I used to play a lot of sports. I used to play cricket with the boys. I used to love my video games. I was like a tomboy. So if I have to describe myself in one word, I was an absolute tomboy.
Okay, wonderful. Now, were you intuitive as a child,
Ever
or
since I
did you
remember,
do think
I
the
was.
gift evolve over time?
No, I was always intuitive as a child, and very early on, by the time I was 9, 10, I was pushed into the realm of intuition, spirituality. Like I would exactly know what questions would come. I would know what chapters to skip. It was just there. Like I kind of knew what to focus on. Even I've had, visions where if something bad is to happen or if a family member is to pass away, I would go and tell my mother about it. And my mom's also very intuitive. And she would be like, oh, I've got the same message. So there was always this validation, and that would happen after 2 weeks, 2 months. So I've always had that intuition ever since I remember.
Okay. Now, was there a defining moment that you thought that all of a sudden, like, walk us a little bit through that journey? Because this is a very interesting journey. So tell us that how did you feel? What happened? How did that alignment come? How was the download happening? What was the feeling
Mhm.
like? Just handhold us a little bit through
Sure.
that.
So while I was growing up, my mom was very spiritual, and she done Reiki. She started doing Reiki. And after school, I was 9, she would pick me up, and we'd go to the Reiki teacher. She would be doing her Reiki lessons, and I would be sitting and doing my homework, reading books. And I always had this Laws of Spirit World by Mrs. Khurshid Bhavnagri with me. Now, back in the day, I was 9 back in 1994, and back in the day, publication and books was not that big, right? So we had the handwritten book of Mrs. Bhavnagri in an A4 size, which was
Mhm.
Xerox spiral bounded, and it was circulated. So I'd started reading that, and it was actually in Mrs. Khurshid Bhavnagri's handwriting because that book was channeled.
Mhm.
And I would read that, And my mom's master, who of course became my master later on in life, he kind of saw me. He would ask me questions, and he's like, "Do you understand things?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "What do you understand?" And I told him, "I see Wispy and Ratto, and they are the characters of the book. They are the two lost sons." That Mrs. Bhavnagri lost them, and she was communicating with their spirit, and I could start sensing them around. And and he would kind of, he was taken, by shock, and he would just talk to me, my master, and he told my mom that this girl is a prodigy, and if I have your permission, I need to open her third eye. And I still very, very clearly remember his room where he did my third eye initiation. He looked me like he got into my past, and he told my mom that she's carrying a lot of gifts from her past life and she needs to
Yeah.
channel it.
Mm.
I came from a very mixed, like I'm a Sikh. So I came from a very mixed, where my parents were very progressive, but also culturally very conservative, because we lived with my grandparents and I have
Correct.
very young parents. So it was a contrast where, my mother was very open to it and she pushed me into Reiki. I did my Reiki 1 when I was 10, Reiki 2 when I was 12. After school, I would go and help my Reiki master, be his assistant, help in healing people, doing hands on healing. And also, when I started downloading messages, I would start auto writing. So my mom reached out to Mrs. Bhavnagri, and back then it was very easily accessible because she was not very well known. There were only few people who knew about her. So set up an appointment, went to meet her, and I would tell her facts that I would hear from her sons, which she could validate. And she could see them around me. And she kind of gave me some tips at the age of 12 and a half. I used to sit and auto write with her. So for me, that was very normal. Every time I would go to my nanny's house in Bangalore, I would, like, she had a collection of Osho's cassettes, audio cassettes, books back from 1994 to 1998, which is unheard of. And I got exposed to all of those. So I would read Osho books very early on in life. So that's been very normal for me. Silva mind control books. Uh, then when I finished my 10th standard, because I wanted to be an astronaut. So I'd taken up science and I was fully focused. I finished my 10th standard, and that's when my Reiki master told my mom that I need to initiate her. And he took me through an intensive 7-day program where we were working for almost 18 hours every day in a capsule. We were only allowed to go home to sleep, not talk to anyone, go home to sleep, shower, come back, and the training would start. uh, where we learned a lot about astral traveling, star seeds, psychic attacks, entity attacks, extraterritorial beings, violet flame, ascended masters, meditation. So that's where I really, really learned a lot of healing modalities, which I think that also kind of changed my life.
Of
But
course.
um, I mean, no one ever told me that you need to take this up as a profession. Back in the day, it was not a profession. I wanted to be an aeronautical engineer. I applied for my Michigan State University, got admission. Something happened. I didn't go to US. I stayed back in Bombay, went through life-altering relationship situations. And after a heartbreak, I was going through a heartbreak along with my grandfather passed away. And the night he passed away, before him passing away, I felt his presence in my room, and he
Oh,
just
wow.
blessed me. And I knew his spirit, and he said, "I'm there." And after 3 hours, I get a phone call, middle of the night, and my father was like, "Come to the hospital." And I'm like, "I know he's no more." And he's like, "No, no, he's just critical. You just come to the hospital." I'm like, "He was in my room. I know he's no more. He's gone." And he exactly left an hour before my father called me up. And then ever since then, he was guiding me. I could hear him, our channel. Like, he would tell me what to do. I also developed a lot of my psychic gifts and my healing gifts through his spirit. So for me, that was normal. So I think for me, that journey till my grandfather passed away, and after that is when my massive, intense spiritual training started.
Okay, wonderful. So after your 10th standard, you got into healing as a profession, or no, after that, you didn't go to Michigan State? Uh,
I didn't get a Michigan State, and I got into fashion designing. I
right.
didn't complete my college, and I was like, either it's being an astronaut or I want to work. And I came from a family where no woman had ever worked. You know,
Wow.
again, the typical seek that why do women need to work? You need to get married, have kids, settle down. So I started fashion designing, and I used to write a lot, Devika. Writing was my first love. And back in the day, we had Facebook. And remember these Facebook notes, right?
Of
Right
course,
now,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
so I would post a lot of notes, and one of my Facebook friends um, messaged me saying, "You write so well, why don't you write for the speaking tree column?" And I was all of 22. And I was like, okay, what is speaking tree column? You know,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
asked my
yeah,
parents, and they're like, it's
mm,
huge. So I was like, listen, I don't know anyone in speaking tree column. Why would they publish my work when they're, you know, they were publishing like Osho and Shishi Ravi Shankar and, you know, people of that league.
mm.
And they're like, no, this is the editor's email ID. I've already told her about you. Just send her some articles. I did what was asked. I sent some articles on Mother's Day poetry and some other poetry, and I did an article on angels and the roles that they play in our life. And that article was picked up, and she said, I love this. And the editor got back saying, I'm publishing this. I said,
Mm,
okay, when will it come? She said, it's usually a 6 months wait, but because we
mm,
love it so much, we're releasing it in the next 10 days.
mm.
Okay. After that article, it was never going back. I had 600 emails in 2 days, people from all walks of life wanting to know more, asking about angels. Um, and then I got a call from someone in Delhi saying, we want to know more. Why don't you do a workshop? I have a group of 40 people. You know, we'll take care of everything. You just come to Delhi, you know. And I just went. And there was so I got a call from Delhi saying there's a group of 40 people and they want to know more about the workshop, angels. We'll set everything up. The venue's taken care of. You just come and teach them.
Mm,
And I just
mm.
started developing workshops. Again, there was no going back. So
Right.
that's actually by the time I was 22, 23, that's how my career started because of that one article.
Wow, that is amazing. Now I'm going to go back to your first session. Tell us about how that was like professionally. Like, you know, what
It
happened? Like when
was,
you were stepping in, was it like, okay, this is it? Or, I mean, how did it feel? Given that
it
because
definitely.
you are stepping into such a, a sensitive part of people's lives where it is actually the unknown for most people. Most people, they identify themselves so much with their bodies. When you tell them you're actually a soul, they'll be like, what? you know
Yeah.
so tell us about that part. Like, how was it like with your first session? What happened?
I think I think it was lovely, and to be honest with you, Devika, I think I've just been carried by grace because every session I step into, I just tell the universe that whatever each person, whatever the collective group needs to know, let it flow through me. So as a person, I won't remember a single thing of what I've spoken about during the session, but it's just in the state of flow. And you know, I've just been fortunate enough that I've always met people who are skeptic turned believers or people who are open in some way because you know, people have come and also are very consciously, subconsciously attracted that please bring to me people where I have a karma with them to heal them and transform them. bring to me people who are open, because I have so much to give, but just make sure that they are open to receiving it, and I think people will receive from me um, at the capacity that they're open, you know. So for me, I think the first session was very overwhelming, but also the amount of love, because I was just 22, 23, and I'm like sitting and guiding people about their marriages and their affairs and their business and where to invest money. And as a 22, 23-year old brain, I may not have that much knowledge, but the wisdom, the guidance, the visions have been channeled to me, So it was a massive dichotomy where there was a part of me that was like channeling and talking big stuff, and then there's a part of me who by the end of it like, but I'm not doing anything,
Right,
I
right,
haven't
right.
done
You're just
anything.
a
So that,
channel. You're just
so
a channel.
that
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so by the end of it, I'm just talking, the more you're here to receive, the more I'll be able to give. And by the end of it, it's always ended with that thank you for trusting me, because I know that in today's day and age, it's not easy for people to be vulnerable. It's not easy for people to be trusting, and when they come to me, they're as vulnerable as anyone can get. And
Mhm.
it's just a lovely feeling. And I'm just so grateful for that.
True, true. Now, I will tell you why this interview is so overwhelming. So, I am going through my spiritual journey with Master Choakok Sui, who is,
Yes.
started pranic healing.
Yeah.
And just a couple of weeks back, I had done this course called Achieving Oneness with the Higher Soul. So then I went into the karma cleansing, the karma, the karma, the law of karma, etc., etc. And it was just like maybe 10 days back. I didn't know, by the way, I don't get involved with, influencers, curating influencers and all that. I had no idea. So just like, and usually I don't go through the questions till about like 10 minutes, just before the interview, I just look through the questions. And 10 days back, somewhere I came across your video. It was nothing to do with Alia. It had nothing to do with Alia. And I was like, okay, let me hear her out. That, what is she saying? She's actually talking about karma. So I actually saw a couple of your videos, nothing related to global influencers. And then I get the questions today, and I was going through the questions. I was like, okay, this is so crazy, and I still didn't know that it's you. So I was just going through the questions. No, it is so interesting. So I
Yeah.
was going through the questions, and then I'm like, crystals, oh my god, I just bought crystals, by the way, huh? So I
Yeah.
was like, so then and then as soon as I saw your profile, I was like, okay, let me check her profile. And then automatically I just said, oh my God, this is crazy. And Samim is like, yes, ma'am, her profile is very interesting. He didn't know that why I was saying that. So it was just
Yeah.
such a divine coincidence, I must say. And I think
Yeah.
that it is again in my spiritual journey also, you must be related. Has
Thank
to
you.
be.
But thank you. Thank you for having me. And I've been quite excited about this interview.
Yeah. So tell me about who your biggest influences were. Influence, and then who your mentors were.
So
I know
I
your
think I've
mom
had
played a role.
my mom definitely played a role, but I've actually had um, a lot more influences in the spiritual world than in flesh and blood. I had
Okay.
my master Degu Ghosh, who was also my Reiki master and the one who initiated me into psychic healing. He was the one, in fact, who brought down Reiki back in the day. So he was also one of the co-founders of Landmark Forum. It's a very well-renowned transformation workshop. So I think he played a very important role in my life. Apart from that, it was my mother. And in terms of flesh and blood, I think these are the only two people, because after my master passed away, I've never really had a guru. But from the spiritual world, it's been my grandfather, definitely, I think, for me. Those 3, 4 years after him passing away played a very important role. And I
Hmm.
also download a lot of information. And as creepy as it may sound from Archangel Michael, I think he's been my soulmate on the other side, and he's really,
Wonderful.
really been there. And I think in terms of ideology or in terms of messaging, I think I also derive a lot of inspiration from Osho, because I think that was introduced to me very early on in life.
Hmm.
And I think somewhere what you read when you're younger, that just becomes a part of your subconscious language, right? So for
Of
me, I
course.
think Osho, his fearlessness, his randomness, his thought process, defying laws, questioning the 3D world, you know.
Hmm.
I think a lot of that, breaking through the norms and myths, I think for me, a lot of that fierceness or fearlessness also comes from his teachings.
His guidance, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah.
Now, during this journey, what was something surprising discovery about yourself that you made, or was there any?
I So for me, I think while I was growing up, like I said, I was put through a lot of training in terms of healing modalities. I did work with crystals. I've done work. I became a Reiki master. I've done work with pranic healing. I've done silver mind control. I've done NLP, which is neuro linguistic program. I've done EFT tapping, access bar consciousness. So in terms of academic repertoire, when it comes to healing modalities, Devika, I've done a lot, but I somehow cannot channel or work with any of those healing modalities. And that was quite surprising for me. For me, I developed that when I'm doing my clients' healing, I have the gift to kind of do vibrational healing. So, in 1 minute of the healing session, I cleanse the low vibrations, and I have the gift of uplifting the client's vibrational frequency. And that's what I started doing in my healing programs, which
That's
I don't
fantastic.
think a Reiki or a neural, like any of those techniques, I cannot work with techniques. So for me, I think what channeled to me was being a psychic is one thing, and then learning healing modalities in another. But I think even the gift of healing that I developed was just channeled so naturally that I created or carved my own healing modality subconsciously or naturally.
I think so, because that probably just became your niche as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Because this is a very interesting thing that if you can match the free or you can raise the frequency of a person, that's it.
yeah.
Because when a person is vibrating at a higher frequency,
Hmm.
then you can manifest so much better.
Of course, of course.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, how would you describe angel therapy to someone who hasn't really heard of all this? Like, how would you describe what you do?
So every so there are angel therapy is a part of what I do. So angel therapy is basically every soul is gifted with two guarding or guiding forces who are in the angelic realm, and I help my clients in the process of angel therapy initiate them so that they connect to their guardian angels, and I teach them techniques so that they can keep that connection going. And I make them independent, that they don't need to come to a psychic or a tarot card reader or an astrologer. Once they are
Okay.
connected with their guardian
Hmm.
angels, they have the roadmap, they have the GPS. So in short, I clean the software of the client's phone and I install GPS for them, and I teach them how to use the GPS so that they
Hmm.
can continue using that in your day-to-day life.
Hmm. Fantastic. That's a good process and a good approach, I think.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Now, what is the soul chart preparation?
So before we are born or before we incarnate in human form, Devika, every soul creates a blueprint, and the blueprint is based on where we are coming from our past life experiences, our vibrational frequency, and where we want to go. So it's like a collective combination of everything that we need to learn, along with all the karmas we need to heal from, we need to balance the traumas, the physical wounds that we need to heal from. So it's that entire roadmap or blueprint, um, as to who are the people who are going to teach us those lessons. Are we going to make money? How much money? What is that relationship with money going to be? What is that relationship with career going to be? Spirituality going to be? Socially, what is our experiences going to be like? Physically, in terms of sickness, ailments, what our life plan is supposed to be like. So everything is charted before we are born. Because imagine if we
Yeah,
didn't have a life plan, um, we all would be living in a world of chaos, right?
seriously.
So that's what a soul blueprint is. Today, like for example, even when we are doing this interview, there is the blueprint. There is the blueprint that there is going to be a guest, there is going to be a host, it's going to start at this time, and then there is, team taking, and you kind of work backwards. And
Mm.
if at all, suppose your audio team or recording team doesn't show up, or what if my Wi-Fi fails and I cannot connect, or what if you are stuck in traffic and you can't make it, everything will go, there will be chaos,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
So there has
yeah,
to be a life plan, and then collectively everyone has to play their part to make something happen. And that's
right.
exactly the same case with every soul. And as much as we are individuals, we are also collectively connected, and we are universal.
Mm-hmm.
So that intermingling or that planning of every soul's part in your life and your part in other souls' life has to be charted and mapped so intrinsically and beautifully. So that's what
I
a
know.
soul blueprint is.
Wonderful. And now, do you aid in that? And
I
do
do.
you?
I have a gift of downloading that or channeling that energetically.
Okay,
I haven't learned it. I just started doing that with experience and time. So I do that. And the only thing is I break it down for my clients in a very specific order, which becomes very easy for them to relate to.
wonderful. And so eventually, that blueprint will help that soul to
Hmm.
maneuver their lives easier, better, certainly, but because you already have a blueprint. So maybe if
Of
you know
course.
that you're supposed to be learning something, maybe you'll
Hmm.
learn it with gratitude, or
Of
maybe you'll
course.
learn it with, the essence of learning would be a little different, right?
Sure.
Instead of suppose there is a lesson that comes to me that, I would be like, if I'm instead of complaining, maybe I'll approach it with, okay, I'm supposed to be learning this lesson, so let me learn this lesson, and
Sure.
I'm grateful that I learned it. Is it that? Is it that?
Absolutely. It is that. And also what happens is, suppose now if I have to learn a lesson and you've caused pain in my life. You've caused pain in my life for me to learn a lesson. But instead of me learning the lesson, if I start, feeling anger for you, if I start feeling that bitterness, resentment towards you, if I don't forgive you, I'm creating more negative karma and more energetic cords with you. So rather than not only me learning my karmic lessons, I'm also creating more additional baggage on my
With you,
karmic
when
journey.
I'm actually negatively
Yeah.
thinking about you. Yeah, right, right. So talk about
And
karma cleansing. How this all of this, how they are intertwined and how they are related. If you can let us know a little bit more about karma cleansing as well.
sure. So, first of all, karma can never be changed. And this is a myth that people have that, oh, if we do this healing, our karma will get changed. Or if we go to a psychic or an astrologer, and this astrologer or a psychic says so, our karma will be changed. So, we'll do this puja, this mantra, this havan. A karma can be changed. A karma cannot be altered. That is the universal law. Nobody is exempted from karma. That is another universal law. But
Hmm,
karma can be balanced or released.
correct.
So, how is it balanced? For example, if I know that I have to go through this because I've hurt someone in my past life, either I balance it by going through the same thing and going through the pain without taking it personally,
Mm.
or then I release that trauma with a lot of healing so that in my physical dimension, I don't have to go through pain.
Wow. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes,
So,
but
so, so
you have
with
to break
karma,
it down a little more for the audience. I mean, I can
yeah,
relate to it. Like I said, I just did a course, but
yeah.
break it down a little more for the audience as well, because this is very profound.
So, in a layman's language, say in some lifetime, you've cheated me, or say I have cheated you of 100 rupees. Okay. In this lifetime, I have to go through that experience of either being cheated of that 100 rupees or that 100 rupees going away from me.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Now, either Devika will come back in another soul and cheat me of that 100 rupees. So that's what we call karma as being balanced. Now, what if Devika tells the universe that I've forgiven Tamanna? I don't hold anything against her. And I don't want to interact with her in another lifetime. I don't want those 100 rupees.
Mm.
But still, I have to release that 100 rupees, which means in this lifetime,
Someone
I
else will
may
do.
lose that. I will lose that 100 rupees for either someone's illness, I may donate it, or in someone's education where I may adopt a child and pay for their education, or maybe I may lose 100 rupees on the road and somebody else who's in dire need will pick it up. So I've
Wow.
released it from my side. If not to Devika, to somebody else. So in the energy state of universe, Devika's forgiven me. Either she chooses that she wants that 100 rupees and she may come back in this lifetime to betray, to cheat me or take that money from me. Or Devika says, I have forgiven her. I don't want to interact with her. I don't want that 100 rupees, but I will still have to release it.
That 100 rupees.
Yes.
Wow, this makes so much sense. So, what is the process of releasing karma like for your child, for your clients?
So again, it's about awareness and nothing can alter because, and why I talk about awareness and, is because awareness is the superpower of your subconscious. And your
Of course.
subconscious travels much more faster than light and sound, you know. E is equal to mc square, we know that. And what is E here? It's energy, it's your subconscious mind. Today, if I ask you to close your eyes and I ask you to visualize yourself in Mars, you will be able to do it. So when you're aware, you can completely alter your frequencies, learn, release, balance. Does that make
Mm,
sense?
yes. So, learn, you release, or you balance.
Yeah.
So, these are the three states of karma, I would say, right?
these
Wonderful.
these are the three states of how we can release with karma or release the excess karmic baggage.
Okay. Tell us, what kind of transformation you've seen that your clients have gone through, like something that really like stands out in your mind.
I think a lot of clients come back and give me a feedback that they energetically feel lighter.
Mm,
With the awareness that they get during the session, it becomes easy for them to forgive and also take responsibility. My Masi always told me, there's no good or bad person, Devika. There are people who are aware, and then there are people who are unaware. So when people come, they become aware to so much more of why they've attracted what they have. So either they're able to handle it in a better way or they're able to take better decisions.
mm,
So
mm,
there is definitely a shift in how they see things and situations, number one. Number two is they also start focusing on their lives rather than focusing on the materialistic society norms and other negative belief systems. And
mm,
also, even if you're able to clear 30% of the baggage of the society norms and what people think and what people judge, automatically there's a shift in your frequency.
of
And
course.
by means of that, you are attracting better opportunities and you're attracting a better life.
Mm, true, true, true.
So,
Now tell us about past life healing. This will be very interesting for a lot of people. When
so
they think
past
about
life
past life, you're
healing.
like, okay, what was I?
So to be honest, I think 9 out of 10 people who come to me are like, oh, I'm going through health issues. I must have done something bad. And I think past life is overrated, to be honest with you, for the simple reason is that Devika, every day when you go to work, you pick up new tasks, right? Or are you going to do exactly what you did last 5 days? Are you going to do exactly that for the next 5 days? The answer is no.
No.
You pick
Yeah.
up new tasks. Maybe one or two things that have been left incomplete, you
Mm.
carry it forward to your present day.
Correct.
So, the reason why I say past life healing is overrated is because people correlate everything that's happening in their present life with past life,
Mm.
you know, and
Mm.
they don't want to take responsibility of bringing any change or awareness in this life.
In
Past
this.
life kiya, I will go to a healer, she will put me in hypnotherapy, she will handle it. I don't have to do anything.
Oh God, that is
That's
true. Yeah.
no, it doesn't work
No,
that way.
it
Um,
doesn't. Yeah.
Past life works in cases of extreme trauma. If you've gone through repeated patterns, I've dealt with clients who have got married for the third time, gone through a divorce, have lost two husbands back to back, like gotten married, lost the husband, gotten married again, lost the husband, rape cases or sexual abuse cases, or massive repeated patterns. Then we go into a past life, you know, abandonment, massive abandonment wounds, then we go into past life.
Mm.
But if your career cycle is low for 6 months, if you've got married to the wrong person and having issues in your marital life, or if you're not learning your lessons and attracting repeated patterns, that's got nothing to do with the past life.
Right.
So
Right.
if again in a layman's language, I love to give these, crazy examples. Past life is like an open heart surgery. Just because you have a headache, you can't go to the doctor and say, "Do my past life." Just because you have gynec issues, you can't go to the doctor and say, "Do my past life." Because
Mm.
what happens is, even when people come to me, I will do it for them, but it will not make a difference in their life. And what will they say? Oh, Tamanna did a past life, but nothing is shifted. And then the credibility will be like, oh, she's not a great healer. So, past life is something where if the root cause of your current problem is in that past life, then we do it. But just because you're going through present life karmic issues, timelines, you not learning your karmic lessons, you attracting similar kind of people because of society beliefs and your programming, a past life is not going to help.
That you are not changing your pattern. If you're not breaking your pattern, there is nothing that past life healing can actually do.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
Now,
once, I mean, I've dealt with so many of these. Like this lady would come to me and she's like, I'm attracting men who cheat. And when I looked into her, I'm like, but I also see that you have a pattern of falling in for the bad boy syndrome. You don't get to know the guy, you don't connect with the guy emotionally, you just get into a relationship because he's spending money on you, and money is a major force for you. And she's like, yeah, so I'm like, that's nothing to do with the past life. That's the choices that you're making. If
mm,
vada pav doesn't suit you and you're constantly eating vada pav when you're hungry, you will be down with food poisoning. Now, that's not a past life thing. That's a
of
present
course,
day choice
of
you have to
course,
make.
of course. That you need to break this pattern and need to learn that lesson of self worth, probably.
Of course. And
Exactly.
also, I think basing relationships, I think the lesson would be being very mindful about the intent of why you're getting into a relationship.
Correct. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
think people kind of lose focus there. They just want
Yeah,
to get into relationships because they want a relationship. There's no intent
exactly.
behind it.
No, no, exactly. There is no intent that, okay, fine,
Yeah,
I'm feeling a bit lonely. Let me just look for someone. So
yeah,
that doesn't
yeah,
work that way. It's just
yeah.
a superficial, layer right there. So that
That's
makes it.
right.
Now, can you share an unforgettable like client experience that still gives you goosebumps?
It's. I mean, I've had
You
crazy
must have had several.
experience.
Yeah, yeah, several.
Yeah, but one of the funniest experiences where I still sometimes quote is once, this was years ago, pre-COVID. I used to do face-to-face sessions in Bombay, and a client of mine, like a returning client of mine, was running late. and she messaged me that I'm running 15 minutes late. And when she came in, she was like huffing and puffing, and I'm like, relax, what happened? And she's like, no, my daughter, the daughter was 13. She's like, she's been throwing up all morning. And I'm like, yeah, she ate mushrooms last night. She was about to sit on a chair, and she's like, that's exactly what she was throwing up, Tamanna. And I was like, yeah, I can see that. So like,
Oh
something
my
stupid,
God. Oh
yeah.
my
So,
God, this is fun. This is fun, of course.
yeah.
And what do you think
So,
is the most common block that you notice people have, like subconsciously? Because you talked about receptivity, that you have a lot
mhm,
to give, but also the person sitting opposite you has to be receptive.
mhm.
Now,
I
what kind of blocks have you come across, and how do people like? Is there any suggestion that you have to release it because you're only here to help?
Yeah. So I think one of the common threads of karmic lessons that run through most of my clients, I would say 8 out of 10 clients would have it specifically, is I think they don't know how to work with balancing trust issues.
Hmm,
And also, I think rigidity, where they know what they want, but they're also very specific of how they want it. And I tell them that, listen, if you've ordered for a mobile phone, whether it comes in a gatte ka box, whether it comes in a thermocol box, whether it comes in a Louis Vuitton bag, or whether it comes in a plastica theli wrapped, that's not important. What is important is you're getting what you want, you know so I think 9 out of 10 people in today's day and age are constantly operating with issues with trust, where either they over trust people too much, or then they go into an extreme mode of not trusting people at all, and that creates a lot of blocks when it comes to giving and receiving.
correct.
And also rigidity, where people don't know where to be flexible, and they kind of become extremely rigid about how they want things, because perfection is nothing but a big lie told to us. There's nothing which is called perfect.
I
And
always believe that.
yeah, so the more
Absolutely.
energy you try to invest in getting um, something which is perfect, maybe the returns of that will be nothing compared to what you're investing.
Very true. Very true. Now, if your soul had a mantra for this lifetime, what would
Mhm.
that
I always have a choice. I think for me, I live by that. I always have a choice. So everyone
be?
has a choice at any point. Just because I've made a choice 5 years ago, but today I'm not happy with that choice, I can choose otherwise. You know.
100%. Powerful,
So, but I,
powerful. Absolutely.
yeah, but I think people don't want to accept and honor their choices, because that also comes with responsibility.
And
So,
fear.
and fear of failure.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Fear of the unknown. You don't know exactly. Now, do your own past lives come up when you're healing or meditating?
a lot, many times, a lot. Like, I could be, especially during in my sleep, a lot of past lives show up. If I'm meditating, a lot of past lives show up. And yeah, so I experience a lot of that sometimes when I'm doing someone's healing.
Hmm.
I come to know that in some lifetime I've encountered that energy or that client. So it does happen.
Now, for the first time when you actually had that past life, connect with you, was it scary for you?
No, not at
No?
all. It's just
Okay.
that I couldn't really decipher in, because when a past life shows up, Devika, people have a myth that it's your immediate past life that may show up. It could be something that happened 100 lifetimes ago, or 10 lifetimes ago, 5 lifetimes ago. So I think for me to understand that as a child, that took me some time, you know, because
Right.
when I saw the past life, I was like, oh, maybe it's an immediate lifetime. And I stuck by that. But as I started growing older and I started seeing other different past lives, I realized that, okay, maybe that first time that I saw the past life is not an immediate past life.
Ah, got it. Got it. Now, what is that one spiritual truth that changed your life forever?
I think there is enough for everybody, and there's abundance is every soul's birthright. It's just that we as humans keep begging for it. But I just
Yeah,
feel there's just so much and enough for everybody. And I think if you start living by that and start owning abundance as your birthright, your life can change drastically.
absolutely. Absolutely. Now, crystals.
Yeah.
If you had to pick three crystals to
Hmm.
carry with you, which ones would that be?
I would say amethyst, purple amethyst, tourmaline, and I personally love jade. I
Ah,
think jade is one of the most underrated crystals, but I think it just has so much of grounding power and also a lot of feminine divine energy.
oh, nice. Very cool.
Yeah,
Now,
it
if you're
activates the feminine energy. Sorry, go ahead.
no, no, it's your stage
No, no, I
today.
was saying that I think with jade, I think it just kind of brings in so much of feminine energy to connect with. So I think I like jade as a crystal.
Okay, wonderful. I'll look up Jade as well.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Now, if your aura had a color today, what would that be?
Mhm. I think it would be root chakra because uh, my daughter was unwell. So last 4 nights I haven't slept. So my root chakras, because root chakra is the chakra of your body, right? Your
Right, right.
survival. I've not slept at all. So I'm like under rested, overworked. So I think it would be red color today.
Oh, nice. How's your daughter now?
She's better. She's better.
Better. Wonderful.
Yeah.
What's the most magical moment you've experienced personally?
I have I think my connection with Shivji when I saw him in the energy format, in
Ah,
the energetic form. Very recently, last 10 months, I've witnessed Hanuman energies 3 times,
mm,
literally in physical form. But I have experienced Sai Baba in human form. So I think I've seen him in human form and I've heard him. So I think for me, I will share with you that picture that I have of him. I
my
flicked a
God, you
picture
have
and
to. You have to,
I
and
will,
you have
I
to
will.
share it for our platform as well. Now, what's
Yeah.
next for Tamanna? What exciting projects do you have? What is next in the pipeline for you?
I have a lot of exciting projects. I'm launching my own podcast, All Things Spiritual. It's
Mm.
something I've been wanting to do, but because of not having enough time, I've recorded episodes, but I've completely remodeled it. So I'm coming up with my audio podcast. I'm also launching 2 deck of oracle cards. One is about karmic lessons, and one is the oracle cards for children to empower children with spiritual virtues. And
Fantastic.
uh, for now, this and eventually I will also be doing a lot more merchandise. But I think right now I have my hands full.
I know, I can see that. Now, what legacy or impact do you want to leave behind?
I just want to empower people and make them so independent that they don't have to go to a psychic or a tarot card reader or an astrologer. And I just want to know that people have the power. They just need to tap
Good
into
enough.
their own power. And I just want to make people independent um, of, like, you can be your own master, you can be your own guru. You don't need to depend on anyone for clarity. You can be your own GPS.
Wonderful. I think that's a powerful message. Very powerful. Now, let's jump onto some rapid fire.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. Tea or
Yeah.
tarot?
T.
Oh, nice. Vibration you wish people tapped into more often.
Gratitude.
That's true. One energy center most people need to work on.
Solar plexus. It's the seat of self love and self faith.
Ah, very true. First thing you do when you wake up.
I recite the Gayatri mantra in my daughter's ears.
Oh my, what a sweet thing to do. How old is your daughter?
She's 2 months less than 3 years.
Oh, how sweet. My goodness. I like the whispering part.
Yeah.
A book that changed your soul's direction.
Laws of the spirit world.
One childhood memory that still makes you smile.
I think for me as a kid, I would wear my dadi's dupatta around my neck and
Oh,
go and lie down. My father back then had a Maruti red color 800, and go and
mm.
lie on the roof or the bonnet and just keep stargazing and call some star my home. I was so fond of astronomy that I kind of always knew that I belonged there.
Wow. Now, do you ever think that you again pursue that, or
No, but I've always been a moon child. Like every evening, I spot the moon, and Devika, my daughter, does the same. From childhood, she will always look at the moon, even if you're driving, we're in the balcony, Mama Moon,
oh
she
my
won't go to
God.
sleep without seeing the moon. Yeah. So she carries that love for, but also later on, when I got into my spiritual journey, I kind of understood my fascination for the sky and the stars is because I realized I myself was a star seed. So
Ah,
I
okay.
kind of knew that I belong somewhere else.
Wow, very cool. Most powerful crystal you worked with.
I would say amethyst, the purple amethyst.
Last song you've danced to.
Apata, apata, because of my child. She keeps singing that all the time.
Oh, how sweet. Your sun sign.
Aries,
Morning person or midnight meditator?
midnight meditator.
Any Netflix series?
I binge watch Bridgerton and Gossip Girl all the time. I think Gossip Girl just helps me come back to my normal girl that I am. It reminds me of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know exactly.
I've
One
seen it for
cel-
like 7 times, like 7 times I've done back to back, which is a lot.
Oh my God, yeah. One celebrity you'd love to give a healing session to.
Diljit Dosanjh. I want to tap into his frequencies.
Oh, nice. If you had a spiritual superpower, what would it be?
I think I would just make people see the amount of power that they have, being
Hmm,
able to pass that on to them so that they see themselves differently.
very nice. What's the one lesson that keeps repeating in your own journey?
I think for me, I need to tap more into my feminine energies. I think I carry a lot of masculine energies or it's extremes. When I'm feminine, I'm too feminine. So I think for me, one is that, and the other thing is slowing down. I just don't know how to slow down.
Well, wonderful. If you could go back and give your 18-year-old a message, what would that be?
You always have the power to make choices. So
Choice.
so exercise that, yeah.
If you weren't a spiritual coach or healer, who would you be? I think I already know this.
I I
Astrologer.
I mean, apart from an author, I think I would have astronaut, yes, but I also developed a lot of passion for cooking. I'm a
Ah,
foodie, and I would have been a chef. I would be doing something in the food industry.
fantastic. Now tell us a little more about the social media aspect of things. Now, a fan moment that is close to your heart.
I was actually in Turkey, and this was much before COVID happened. And I was, in the bus which takes you from the terminal to the flight. And this lady was like, and back then social media, Instagram was not that big. And I mean, like we are talking pre-COVID where I was not doing that much work. There was no podcast or video interviews. And she's like, "You're Tamanna, see?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh, I follow you." And I think also I moved to Dubai, so one of my baristas, whom I go to every day for my cup of coffee, he was not there, but someone new had joined in, and he's like, "You're the podcast girl." So things like these, it's been overwhelming.
Of course, of course. A memorable message that you received from your followers from that really like stands out.
I think for me, one of the most beautiful messages or questions rather was that Tamanna, you write so beautifully. We want to know what goes on in your mind that
Mhm.
makes you say things like this, which no one has ever questioned that. No one looks at the human side of me to kind of question that.
Right. Because everyone thinks of you, the psychic part, They're thinking that, this is, yeah, that is very, absolutely very true. So I think, Tamanna, today I think we've covered most of it. I think pretty much all of it. And it was such an overwhelming session, even personally for me as well.
Thank you so much,
Loved
Devika, for
talking
having
to
me.
you. Loved talking to you. In case my team has any more questions or needs additional videos, they will be reaching out to you. Now, I'd
Sure.
like to hear from you as well. How did you like talking to Global Influencers Hub?
I had an amazing time. Like I said, I think for the first time, I've done an interview where someone's tapped into the normal human side of me, and it's been nice.
Wonderful,
So
wonderful.
it's
Thank you so much.
my pleasure. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.